Today, we share a heartbreaking story about one of reality TV's most beloved stars, Amy Roloff from Little People, Big World. We've watched her face life's hurdles with strength and grace. But now, Amy is fighting her toughest battle yet, a sudden, life-threatening heart attack that has left her condition very critical. She has been admitted to the hospital, and fans everywhere are praying for a miracle. In this video, we will walk you through everything we know, where it happened, how her family is coping, what doctors are saying, and why this moment has left us all on edge. Stay with us, because every detail matters when a life hangs in the balance. For over a decade, Amy Roloff has been a constant presence in our homes. As a founding cast member of Little People, Big World, she showed the world how she and her family tackled the challenges of dwarfism, rural life, and parenthood with humor and heart. Viewers grew to love her kindness, her farm adventures, and her dedication to her 4 children, Jacob, Molly, Jeremy, and Zach. Amy's warm smile and steady strength helped make the show a hit, especially after her divorce from Matt Roloff and her later marriage to Chris Marek. Fans saw her start a new chapter filled with adventure and hope. But life can change in an instant. Just days ago, Amy experienced a sudden heart attack that has rocked her family and millions of fans. Her condition is very critical. She was rushed to the hospital in an ambulance, her family by her side. Right now, doctors are fighting to save her life. This incident has left us all shocked and worried. We're used to seeing Amy as a source of inspiration, but today, she needs our support and our prayers more than ever. This is the story of what happened, why it matters, and how her loved ones are facing this crisis. Heart attacks can strike without warning. In Amy's case, the day began like any other. According to sources close to the Roloff family, Amy woke up early, around 6:00 a.m., on a crisp spring morning. She and her husband, Chris Marek, planned to check on the new crops at Roloff Farms. They wanted to inspect the strawberry fields and talk about upcoming events for the farm's pumpkin patch season. Amy had been excited about introducing some new visitor attractions, like a sunflower maze and a small petting zoo, ideas she had brainstormed during late-night phone calls with Chris. At 7:30 a.m., Amy stepped outside into the cool air. She greeted her teenage son Jeremy, who had just pulled a modest tractor into the barn. Amy wore her usual jeans, a warm flannel shirt, and sturdy boots. Standing at 5 feet, her posture always conveyed quiet confidence. She took a deep breath of fresh air and smiled, looking up at the clouds. Chris handed her a cup of coffee from the farmhouse kitchen window. They chatted about their day, chores to do, and a quick trip Amy planned to take to the Portland area for a few business meetings related to her Roloff Cares charity work. By 8:15 a.m., Amy felt a mild discomfort in her chest. She paused, thinking it was just indigestion or stress from a busy schedule. She took another sip of coffee and brushed it off, determined to continue. That decision, though understandable, proved tragic. Within 10 minutes, the discomfort turned to a crushing pain. Amy put her hand to her chest, gasping for air. Chris noticed immediately and rushed to her side. He asked if she was okay. Amy tried to speak, but could only manage a soft, "I don't feel right." Her face turned pale. That was the moment Chris realized something was seriously wrong. He called 911 without hesitation. When the paramedics arrived at Roloff Farms, Amy was still conscious but in severe distress. They quickly loaded her onto a stretcher and performed an electrocardiogram, ECG, en route to the nearby hospital. Amy's vital signs were unstable. The ECG showed a clear sign of a major blockage in one of her coronary arteries, a condition known as an ST elevation myocardial infarction, STEMI, which requires immediate intervention. In simple terms, a large portion of Amy's heart was starved of oxygen, and time was critical to restore blood flow. By 9:00 a.m., Amy had arrived at Cadlick Regional Medical Center in Longview, Washington. The hospital's cardiac team was waiting, ready for a life-saving procedure. Despite the medical team's best efforts, Amy's condition remained critical. Her family was told to prepare for a long and uncertain journey. We'll delve into what happened next, how the doctors battled to save her, and how her loved ones coped with the fear and uncertainty. When Amy arrived at the hospital, her heart was in clear danger. In cases of a severe heart attack, the first priority is to open the blocked artery as quickly as possible to prevent further damage to the heart muscle. Amy was immediately taken to the cardiac catheterization lab, commonly called the cath lab, where interventional cardiologists perform angioplasty and stenting. This procedure involves threading a thin, flexible tube through a blood vessel in the groin or wrist up to the heart, then inflating a small balloon to push aside the blockage and inserting a metal stent to keep the artery open. Around 9:15 a.m., Amy was prepped for surgery. As she lay on the procedure table, the medical team started her on intravenous aspirin and a blood thinner called heparin to reduce the risk of clotting. She was conscious but in pain, so they gave her a sedative to keep her calm. While the cath lab team worked, Chris and the rest of the family waited anxiously in the hospital's cardiac waiting area. Amy's children, Jacob, Molly, Jeremy, and Zach, were notified and arrived within minutes. Hearing the news that their mother was in critical condition was devastating. They clung to each other, tears streaming down their faces. In the cath lab, the doctors discovered that Amy's left anterior descending lead artery, the critical vessel nicknamed the Widowmaker, was 100% blocked. This type of blockage often leads to massive heart attacks that can be fatal if not treated immediately. The cardiologist successfully deployed a stent and restored blood flow. However, the procedure carried significant risks. Amy's heart had already suffered substantial damage during the delay. She was stable enough to be moved to the Cardiac Intensive Care Unit (CICU), but her condition remained tenuous. In the CICU, Amy was placed on a ventilator to support her breathing and on medications to keep her blood pressure and heart rate stable. Doctors ran a series of tests, including an echocardiogram to measure how well her heart was pumping. The results showed that her left ventricular ejection fraction, a key measure of heart function, had dropped to around 25%, well below the normal 55 to 70%. This meant Amy's heart was pumping very weakly. The medical team warned that she might need mechanical support, such as an intra-aortic balloon pump or even extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, ECMO, if her heart didn't improve. Family members were given updates every hour. Chris made sure to stay by her side, holding her hand when she briefly woke up between sedation. He whispered prayers, told her how much he loved her, and reminded her to fight. Amy's children took turns sitting close, reading her messages from fans who had flooded social media with prayers and well wishes. Even strangers in the hospital hallway offered words of hope, knowing who Amy was and how much she meant to the smaller community they shared. But no matter how many kind words came in, everyone understood that Amy's life hung in a delicate balance. Heart attacks do not happen in a vacuum. Several factors can increase the risk: age, genetics, diet, lifestyle, and pre-existing conditions like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, or diabetes. Amy is 61 years old, an age when heart disease risk starts to rise significantly for both men and women. While she always appeared fit, tending to the farm, teaching yoga classes, and doing community work, she did have some silent risk factors. According to family sources, Amy had noticed occasional chest discomfort over the past few months, but she dismissed it, attributing it to stress from managing the farm and her charity work. She also admitted to gaining some weight in the past year, no secret, as she joked on the show about indulging in her favorite desserts. However, doctors suspect that the stress of long days on the farm, combined with mild hypertension, contributed to the buildup of plaque in her coronary arteries. This condition, called atherosclerosis, narrows the arteries over time, making them prone to sudden blockage. Women in particular can experience subtle or unusual heart attack symptoms compared to men. Instead of classic chest pain, they may have shortness of breath, nausea, jaw pain, or extreme fatigue. Amy mentioned feeling unusually tired and short of breath during her last yoga session, but she chalked it up to overexertion. Little did she know these were red flags. In an interview last year, Amy admitted she sometimes skipped doctor appointments because she felt too busy. That choice may have come back to haunt her. Doctors believe that a piece of plaque or a blood clot suddenly ruptured, blocking her lead artery. This artery supplies a large portion of the heart's left ventricle, making blockages particularly dangerous. When blood flow is cut off, heart muscle cells begin to die within minutes. The longer the delay in opening the artery, the greater the damage. In Amy's case, by the time paramedics arrived, a significant portion of her heart had already been deprived of oxygen. This is why her ejection fraction dropped so severely, a sign that her heart muscle had been injured. Now that we understand what might have caused Amy's heart attack, let's talk about her family's response. How did Chris, her children, and her loved ones cope? We'll also share what fans are saying and how the Roloff community has rallied around them. Stay tuned. When news broke that Amy was hospitalized with a major heart attack, the Roloff family, once again, found themselves tested by tragedy. Chris Merrick, who married Amy in 2018, was by her side almost constantly. When asked to comment, Chris said through a family spokesperson, "Amy is the strongest person I know. We are fighting this together, and our faith tells us to hope for the best." He struggled to maintain composure, his voice cracking as he spoke. Amy's 4 children each took turns visiting her in the ICU. Jacob, the eldest son, broke down when he saw his mother unconscious on a ventilator. He gently held her hand and whispered, "Mom, you have to pull through. We need you." Molly, Amy's only daughter, sat quietly by her mother's side day and night. She had flown in from Boston, where she lives and works, as soon as she heard. Jeremy, who helps run Roloff Farms alongside Amy and Chris, canceled farm tours to stay at the hospital, coordinating the medical updates with his father and aunt, Tori Roloff. Zach, the youngest, arrived with a homemade get-well card he decorated with hearts and encouraging messages. Extended family, from grandparents on both sides to cousins, gathered at the hospital chapel to pray. The Roloffs are a tight-knit clan with deep roots in Oregon. When one of them suffers, they all feel the impact. Matt Roloff, Amy's ex-husband, canceled all of his speaking engagements and was seen entering the chapel to join the prayer vigil. Despite their divorce, Matt and Amy maintained a respectful co-parenting relationship. He returned to the farm multiple times, helping Jeremy with daily chores so Chris could stay at the hospital without worrying about the farm's upkeep. Photos emerged online of Chris pacing outside the CIQ doors, sometimes with a friend or family member supporting him. A family statement read, "Amy has always been our guiding light. We believe in her strength and the power of prayer. Right now, we ask that everyone keep us in their thoughts as we face this uncertain time." Hearing those words was a blow to fans who had grown up watching the Roloff kids play on the farm. Yet the family's unity and faith gave viewers some comfort that they were not alone in this fight. Later that day, a family spokesperson released a brief update. Amy's condition was still critical, but she was stable. She had been removed from the ventilator briefly to help clear fluid from her lungs. This small victory brought tears of relief to her family, but they knew the road ahead would be long and challenging. Now we turn to the fans, millions of loyal viewers who have followed Amy's journey since 2006. How did they react to the news? We often talk about celebrities as if they live in a bubble, but when someone like Amy Roloff faces a life or death crisis, fans around the globe respond with love and concern. Within hours of the news breaking, #Pray for Amy Roloff trended on Twitter. Thousands of posts flooded in, photos of Amy smiling on the farm, quotes like, "You've got this, Amy," and fan art showing her surrounded by hearts. Some followers shared personal stories of how Amy's honesty about her struggles with fertility, divorce, and parenting helped them through their own hardships. On Instagram, Roloff Families posted photos of themselves wearing shirts with Amy's face and the words, "Stay strong, Amy." Even fans who had never met her felt they knew her like family. One fan commented, "Amy has been a beacon of hope for so many of us. We're all praying she wakes up and smiles again." Another wrote, "If she can survive years of public scrutiny and personal loss, she can survive this. Love you, Amy." The supportive messages brought a flicker of hope to the Roloff family, who's scrolling through them between hospital visits. Local businesses near Roloff Farms also showed solidarity. The town bakery created heart-shaped sugar cookies decorated in the Roloff Farms' signature red and green colors, with a small note reading, "Get well soon in Amy." The proceeds went to a local cardiac foundation in Amy's name. Even competitors in reality TV, stars from other family-oriented shows, sent their wishes. Jason and Molly Brown from Alaskan Bush People posted a joint message. "Your family is in our hearts. Amy, keep fighting. You're not alone." This wave of love reminded everyone that, in times of crisis, communal support can be a powerful force. No one wants to see a woman who has given so much to her fans and to her family suffer. But while fans prayed and hoped, doctors continued their around-the-clock care. Next, we'll hear from medical experts about what factors can influence Amy's recovery and what her prognosis might be. Understanding these details can help us appreciate both the risks and the reasons for cautious optimism. When a heart attack occurs, minutes can mean the difference between life and death. To understand Amy's situation, let's break down how doctors treat a severe heart attack and why her condition is considered critical. A heart attack, or myocardial infarction, happens when blood flow to a part of the heart muscle is blocked. This blockage usually occurs in a coronary artery due to the buildup of plaque or a sudden clot. Without blood, that section of the heart starts to die within 20 to 30 minutes. In Amy's case, the blockage happened in the left anterior descending lead artery. As mentioned earlier, this vessel is vitally important. It supplies blood to a large portion of the left ventricle, which pumps oxygenated blood to the entire body. When the lead artery is fully blocked, doctors often call it a widowmaker heart attack because of its high fatality rate if not treated immediately. Time is critical. Emergency responders must perform an electrocardiogram, ECG, to confirm the heart attack, then transfer the patient to a hospital capable of doing percutaneous coronary intervention, PCI. That is, opening the artery with a balloon and stent. Once Amy was in the cardiac catheterization lab, the interventional cardiologist inserted a catheter into her femoral artery in the groin, guiding it up to the heart under X-ray guidance. A contrast dye highlighted the blockage on an angiogram. The doctor then threaded a tiny balloon to the site of the blockage, inflated it to push the plaque aside, and placed a stent to keep the artery open. Although the procedure can be completed in under an hour, the success depends on how quickly it's done. Every minute of blocked blood flow means more heart muscle loss. After the stent was placed, Amy moved to the Cardiac Intensive Care Unit, CICU. There she received close monitoring of her heart's electrical activity, blood pressure, oxygen levels, and other vital signs. She was placed on a combination of medications, a beta blocker to slow her heart rate and reduce oxygen demand, an ACE inhibitor to help her heart relax and keep blood pressure low, and high-dose statins to stabilize any remaining plaque in her arteries. Doctors also continued her on dual antiplatelet therapy, aspirin plus a second drug like clopidogrel, to prevent clot formation around the stent. But despite all these interventions, Amy's ejection fraction, the percentage of blood her left ventricle pumps with each beat, dropped to around 25%. A healthy heart usually has an ejection fraction of 55 to 70%. An EF below 35% can lead to heart failure, requiring additional support. In extreme cases, doctors may use a mechanical device, such as an intra-aortic balloon pump, IABP, which sits in the aorta and inflates and deflates in sync with the heartbeat. This helps improve blood flow to the coronary arteries and reduces strain on the heart. If Amy's heart continued to struggle, she might even need extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, ECMO, a form of artificial life support that oxygenates blood outside the body and pumps it back in, essentially giving the heart and lungs a chance to rest and recover. Complications from a major heart attack can include arrhythmias, abnormal heart rhythms, cardiogenic shock, where the heart cannot pump enough blood to meet the body's needs, and heart failure. Amy's care team prepared for these possibilities by having pacemakers and defibrillators on standby, along with an advanced heart failure team. If her heart function improved over the next 48 to 72 hours, doctors hoped to wean her off the ventilator and medications gradually. But those first few days were critical, and her family knew it. In patients like Amy Roloff, who suffer stems in the lead artery, early intervention is crucial. The goal is to restore blood flow within 90 minutes of the first medical contact, ideally even sooner. Based on her initial presentation, Amy was fortunate to reach the cath lab within an hour of her symptoms. This rapid response likely saved a significant portion of her heart muscle. However, her reduced ejection fraction places her at risk for complications, such as heart failure and potentially life-threatening arrhythmias. Over the next few days, we will monitor her closely for signs of improvement. If her EDF rises above 40%, it's a good sign. She will remain on guideline-directed medical therapy, beta blockers, ACE inhibitors, statins, and dual antiplatelet therapy for at least a year. We'd also recommend cardiac rehabilitation once she is stable. This includes supervised exercise, nutrition counseling, and psychological support. Patients who adhere to rehabilitation programs often have better long-term outcomes. Amy's determination and support from her family can be powerful factors in her recovery. We have seen Amy Roloff conquer so many challenges, raising children as a single mom, rebuilding her life after divorce, finding joy with Chris, and sharing her story with millions. Now, Amy faces a challenge that no amount of reality TV editing can prepare for: the fight for her life. What can we do? For starters, keep her and her family in your thoughts and prayers. Reach out with kindness if you are a fan. If you have shared memories or words of encouragement, leave them in the comments below. Amy and her family will read them and know they are not alone. Consider supporting cardiac research organizations that work to prevent heart attacks and improve emergency response systems. Small donations can fund life-saving equipment in rural hospitals, equipment that could help someone in a situation similar to Amy's. You could also remind your loved ones. Listen to your body, schedule regular checkups, and do not ignore warning signs. To her family, Chris, Jacob, Molly, Jeremy, and Zach, we stand with you. We admire your courage and unity during this crisis. To Matt Roloff and the rest of the extended family, your support shows that even when families change shape, love endures. As for Amy, you taught us that life is precious, filled with ups and downs. We believe in your strength. We believe that you will open your eyes again, smile that gentle smile, and continue sharing your wisdom with us. But above all, we believe in hope. Hope that you will recover. Hope that your heart will grow stronger each day. More update. Amy wants me to move the stagecoach, and I don't think she has any idea on what goes into an event like this, he remarks in a later confessional, seemingly fed up with his ex-wife. You need to have him move as much of that stuff out of here and do that, Amy tells Karen bluntly at the end of the film, and Karen responds with oak. As promised to his mom in a previous episode, Zach and Tori's kid Jackson will try riding a horse in this episode as well. Is everyone's part going to go swimmingly? Something out of the ordinary was noticed in one of the Roloff kitchens by Little People Big World enthusiasts not long ago. Why did something happen that made people so upset? Typical in most homes, the dining room and kitchen are the focal points of social gatherings. Just one part of it is making delicious meals and sharing them with people you care about. Sharing meals also leads to the creation of new memories. Only Amy Roloff comes to mind when I think of Roloffs, who are prolific recipe developers. Me. The globe over, Little People Big Globe devotees rave about her world-famous fudge. She's not busy whipping up delectable dishes or trying out other recipes. With sharp eyes, supporters of Little People Big World noticed anything out of the ordinary in one of the Roloff kitchens. Actually, in Audrey and Jeremy Roloff's kitchen. A casket in one's kitchen was a running joke among fans due to the object's enormous size. "Oh my goodness! Big world," a Little People devotee exclaimed in response to the gigantic new appliance in the Roloff kitchen. Upon first glance, I thought it was a casket. Thankfully, this unique item has zero bearing on funerals, coffins, or anything like. As a gift, someone gave the Roloffs one of those $10,000 ovens. In terms of a product's longevity and the type of durability that can endure a lifetime, these usually deliver on their promises. This is particularly the case when you give it the attention it needs. Even though it's not a coffin, Little People Big World fans have begun making fun of Jeremy and Audrey Roloff for their new pricey equipment. While they await the completion of their renovation, Audrey claims that they have spent the previous 8 months living with her parents. Viewers weren't shy in voicing their belief that this constituted the pinnacle of entitlement. An irate Little People Big World fan exclaimed, $10,000 for the oven alone. I could outfit an entire kitchen with appliances for $10,000 if I so desired. One more viewer chimed in, to begin with, she'll never get the casket. Those stub-ups are a pain to scrub. Is it really $10,000? Said a third commenter. Oh my. I don't know what that has to do with wealthy people. Amy Roloff doesn't expect to be best friends with ex-Matt Roloff's fiancée Karen Chandler. We're cordial? She says her relationship with her ex-husband and his fiancée has evolved, according to the Little People Big World star. The new dynamic in their family is settling in for the Roloffs, who play Little People Big World. Amy Roloff and Karen Chandler, who is engaged to her ex-husband Matt Roloff, attempt to be friendly, but Amy admits that they probably won't be great friends. Speaking to Us Weekly, Amy, 61, remarked of Chandler, 56, "We're cordial, we're respectful." Karen, who has worked at the Roloff family farm, and Matt, who is 62 years old, were friends for a long time before they fell in love. "We have the opportunity to spend time together," she added. "That moment is for us to savor. There is no indication that we will form an unbreakable bond." He remarked, "It's definitely gotten a lot better since I've known them," highlighting the fact that they frequently engage in constructive discussions regarding family-related topics. "Has definitely made things a lot better since I've known them." He made notice of the fact that they often have encouraging conversations regarding family matters. Little People Big World's current season delves into the relationship's evolution when Matt revealed to Amy in an episode that he revised his will to give Amy his property. Matt simply announced his engagement to friends and family last year. "After 6 wonderful years together, I asked Karen to marry me, and she said yes," he remarked. "Our plan is to enjoy our engagement, and we are looking forward to a simple but elegant wedding in 2024. Amy with Chris Merrick in August of 2021, more than 5 years after she and Matt finalized their 2016 divorce. No more today. What are you thinking about this gossip today? Let us know in the comments. And stay tuned by subscribing to our channel to get more updates like this. Thank you.